This week on Hermitcraft.
Over there, and I thought, you know what would be perfect? Hi, Vex. Didn't know you were here. Slow's looking a little bit different today.
Welcome to the Hermitcraft recap. My name is Pixel Riffs, our writer is ZloyXP, and would you look at that, they liked getting killed by phantoms so much, they decided to do it again. Hardcore Hermit Season 2 is as go as a Thunderbird and with more teams on board. This time, the objective is for players to gather as many unique items as they can before they die or the 9-episode timer runs out, and all of that excitement will be covered in its own video at some point. For now, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Azuma, who, let's be honest, seems to have started this whole hardcore hermits thing just so he has more stuff to build in the gaming district. Whatever it takes to make the 700th episode world tour look even more impressive. X's other series seem to be rubbing off on him because we see him using two client-side mods this week, one to show off the contents of a shulker box while hovering over it, and the other to show what blocks to place where when building stuff, aka the Schematica mod. Both of these get put to use in a newish build this week, and we say newish because the enormous black hole with the ever-popular glass fog effect is, in reality, just a modification to force Azuma's creeper farm to work faster. But don't be alarmed, X can still build freehand like a champ, as long as it's something made of diorite and under someone else's base.
I'll tell you what would upset Iscal if someone went and built a diorite heart in his base. The heart of diorite is now in Iscal's base. And you're thinking, that Asuma pressing the F5 button, he might press the F3 button, what a derp. Oh, you thought you were going to read the coordinates, did ya? You thought Asuma didn't know about editing videos in post. Well, I do, you can't see those numbers, but I will put something else on the screen. Is it a cryptic clue that you can decipher to give Iscal the coordinates? No, it's not.
Though, for cave exploration, Iscal might as well just hire Zedaf, considering how much luck he has had falling into holes lately, and luring other people into holes, but more on that later.
Much. And can you believe how many times I've fallen in this hole? Go on, have a guess. 3 times!
You see, the Lake Honk project took a bit of a dive functionally, since while looking pretty, it hasn't been breeding and sorting that many villagers. To rectify this, Zedaf comes all the way down to the moving bits under the lake and starts building a laboratory to figure out how to work the villagers harder, make the villagers better, maybe even do it faster and make us stronger. So far, all the research did is prove that they can stand on snow layers and survive a glass block being thrust into their skulls.
The nose, just the nose sticking out. You can breathe. You can breathe through your nose. It's like a snorkel.
False Symmetry, in the meantime, prefers her spare people stored nicely in cryogenic chambers. That's a nice room of frozen judging people you've got there. The hollowed out cylinder in the middle of her base finally gave in to being another iteration of the False Labs network. Not that that's a bad thing, since this one seems to be more technologically advanced than any of its predecessors. Did the giant water cooler have a laser force field security entrance? I don't think so.
Force field goes out, this drops, and then we go down.
Having implemented designs suggested by her viewers, False returns to the Colosseum in the middle of the desert to honour said viewers, particularly the Patreon supporting ones. You can now park your horse in the stables on the way to the Gladiator deathmatch. Just don't forget to feed it, or it might end up like one of False's.
Oh, you're on a diet, aren't you? I get it. Right, okay, let's put you, I guess, in here then.
XbCrafted might have to step into the ring soon, as he still hasn't heard from her lawyers about the missing parts of his roof, but he has had a visit from a different kind of paranormal entity, the Convex. The prank would have had more impact, but XB is so committed to his role as a millionaire recluse that he hasn't actually heard of the Convex before and assumes he's been pranked with promotional posters for the new Smurfs movie. And if only there was some sort of a show you could watch to catch yourself up with, you know what, never mind. Although the Vexes haven't done much aside from spam banners everywhere and leave the shulker boxes outside the front door, XB gets so paranoid that there's something else he hasn't spotted that we basically get a tour of the mansion, except he keeps looking for tiny blue people.
You know, I get the feeling, I'm going to be finding Papa Smurfs all over my base for a while.
Once he's satisfied that there's nothing immediately wrong, he gets back to work on his Illager statues in the nearby mountains. The tests in creative go well, but it's clear he needs a lot of concrete, so he puts together 2 of Cub's concrete converters in an unused area of the mansion. He also plans to have a couple of Vexes buzzing around the Evoker statue, although maybe he can just hire Cub and Scar to fly around it wearing Elytra. Cubfan himself would much rather sit at his base reminiscing about the good old times, and really, where do you go after pranking the entire server and basically winning everything forever? To a memento room, apparently.
So this is the big mountain at Xisumo's base here, and here is our north wall right here, since we were on the north side, and this is actually the north side of the mountain in this memento room as well, so that kind of worked out pretty well.
And to the nether, because cub hubs don't hub themselves. It turns out the nether roof and blaze farm tunnels are in a dire need of being brought into existence, so it's chorus bricks and redstone powered fires to the rescue.
And we walk back through, and it should relight. Ha ha ha!
Oh, and there was a ravine in there somewhere too. It now has even more soul sand in it. Thankfully, Cub's fiery menace won't get out of hand as long as Scar's newest build stands, the Scarlandia Fire Department, all nice and contrasty with its red and white against the rest of the city, which is grey and icy. It's just colourful enough to distract you from the fact that the staff is just several cats running around with spray bottles. Anything to keep the new multi-storey apartments for imaginary citizens from setting itself ablaze. Or for when Scar goes red with embarrassment after putting in a request at MumboJumbo's door shop for end-of-season warranty services, despite the garage door actually having been fixed a couple of weeks ago while he wasn't looking.
And no, I did not know, because he fixed it when I was out of town, and when I came over here, it still looked broken. I mean, like, there's still the glass missing, and this pillar's missing, and there's just two, dirt blocks attached to that.
Luckily, it's not urgent, because Mumbo's head is elsewhere, and by elsewhere we mean being smashed into giant rings made of stone. It's his own fault though, because this week his projects for the gaming district really take off in the form of an elytra course full of tight turns and even underwater sections.
Which, clearly, I am not very good at. I'm so bad at my own course.
Decorating it in orange and blue concrete and wool to match the gaming district parts, you might need a portal gun to get through it, as Mumbo proves the course is already pretty difficult. Drop some white concrete in there and put a cake at the end, and you're good. From a minigame to one of the biggest games on the server, Joe Hills' Castle Ravenloft gets a whole raft of viewer-suggested improvements, including some nifty lighting hidden inside armor stands, banners surrounding canopy beds, and a dyed chest plate for that disembodied head on the chapel altar, because that guy really needed some clothes. Downsizing for an episode, Joe returns to the neighbouring and much smaller death house to tidy up some of the rooms he hadn't quite finished, and discovers the greatest horror of them all: he's built the basement at the wrong angle. Still, if you want your adventurers to be disoriented, start by disorienting the Dungeon Master.
90% of this is just nonsense. So go away, nonsense. We are adults living in an enlightened age.
In a shocking twist, it turns out Joe Hills isn't the only one who's been building with someone else's blueprints in mind. TFC revealed this week that the reason he's been poring over every detail of the fort and making it just right is that it's actually an updated and scaled up version of a base by one of his Minecraft inspirations, taking us on a tour of a co-star base from 2011 and comparing it to his Hermitcraft Season 5 fort. You've got to admit he has nailed it. With everything in its right place and not wanting to mess with anything else in case he ruins the effect, he's declaring that the end of his Season 5 series. So, thanks for the episodes, TFC, and we'll see you in Season 6. If Season 6 ever happens, because Impulse has a lot of work to do on Atlantis, and if there was ever a reminder of the time ticking away, the Vex's hourglass prank on his base is a big one.
Speaking of eyesores, yeah, Vex time. Time's up. Vex time. So, I've been pranked, and I guess deservedly, because I didn't do any offerings or whatnot.
But he's been getting stuff built, and with the prank taken down, he gets to work concealing the redstone for his auto-sorted storage system behind the ornate walls of stone brick and sea lanterns, and in the process, spotting where some of his wandering villagers may have ended up.
What? That is crazy. How would he even... I don't know how he got in there.
And finally, there's Stress Monster, who decides it's time to work on her nether tunnel, but for that she'll need netherwort, and to farm the netherwort she needs a machine, and to conceal the machine she needs a cafe, and the cafe looks so nice that it distracts her from building the nether tunnel altogether.
Because that's what a little cafe would do, wouldn't it? Try and squeeze as many punters in as possible.
When you're exploring a swamp filled with witches and baby zombies, it's important not to stray from the path. To encourage explorers to keep their arms and legs inside the winding trails of the swampland, Stress terraforms some cliffs and tree lines which block the shortcut routes you might take as you wander around the base. But there are still some fantastic attractions to see along the way, the latest of which is an old wooden lighthouse poking out near one of the swamp's many waterways. It started out as a pumpkin patch, but then this whole place probably started out as a pumpkin patch, and look at it now.
Wow, Zaroonies! Okay. Oh, let's remove that. All right, let's try again. Oh, wow!
And that's just about it for this week's recap. Our writer is XbCrafted, and my name is Pixel Riffs. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.